head coach Troy G. Ward.
Troy, you get a even strength goal from Kalanos in the first period, a power play goal from Carson in the second, and a real good goaltending performance. A little bit of deja vu from last night in any respect? Or?
Yeah, it was pretty much the same formula. As far as the goals were concerned, obviously Carson pretty much scored them from the exact same spot, it seemed like. So, and obviously Chris got a goal again. So Chris has really done some good things if you look at his numbers versus just Milwaukee. Like on Milwaukee alone, it's like an outstanding stat of his goals and games played versus Milwaukee. So, he's had a good run against that particular team.
Obviously, you have 2 games coming up in Charlotte. How are you going to win those 2 games to keep your streak going before the All-Star break?
Well, we kind of got to retool ourselves a little bit. This is a week that kind of took its toll a little bit. 4 games this week. We got to get some rest tomorrow. But we lost Byron there for the start of the third, so he didn't return. So we got to evaluate his injury. Banks didn't play today with an injury. So we got a couple of injuries that are going to cost them probably a little bit of time in our lineup. So we had to go out and make some changes to our lineup and look at either bringing some guys back that we just shipped out or look at some other players. But mainly some rest. That's for us to play our best because we're not a big team. We have to have really good energy when we play, and if we don't, then it's a tough struggle for us. So we need to get our rest this week.
Russ did what Russ does best. Can you just talk about his play tonight, especially in the third period?
Yeah, I mean we're a fortunate group. We're a fortunate group from a viewing standpoint for our fans to coach, to play with. Like both him and Tails have been really good. Barry tonight, I thought, in typical Barry fashion, he finds a way to assert himself into the game physically, and he seems to find a way to punch a puck by a couple of players so that we can get those pucks out, and he finds a way to make some big saves. I thought he made a real quiet big save like midway through the third that basically almost probably went under most goalies' pads, but he made some other good saves too. I thought he was exceptional down the stretch. I thought we ran out of gas a little bit. -1 forward with us, like we were kind of back on our heels there. But that's not so much to my dismay as to how we played. I just give Milwaukee credit. Like they got a nice team, and they managed the puck pretty well. They made it difficult again for us at times tonight. But Barry stood tall, just as Dandy did last night.
You mentioned Carson scoring from virtually the same spot there. He really does have that big shot from the point, and that is a little bit of a new ingredient just in terms of what you've got on the power play now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like it almost feels a little bit like, in a different way that Willie was back there last year, and Clay Wilson, we had that big shot, and that kind of helped that particular group so much last year. And when we heard that we were getting Brett back down, because you never know how it's going to turn out up top, we were excited from a power play standpoint. And just that shot alone changes the whole outlet. Like when you look at it now, it looks different because if you have good outlets on the side either way, then you really pose threats to people. But whenever you can shoot the puck from the middle, it makes a big difference. And I thought the unknown plays in that were both, Mike made nice passes to him twice in a row, and that's really important. Like no disrespect to Brett, but like those were nice passes, and they put it in his wheelhouse. And the other big thing is that, our power play has gotten some goals here of late, and one of the other key ingredients has been Quentin Lang. Both of those goals, Quentin Lang is screening the goalie, and Quentin takes great pride in that. He has a little bit of a dirtbag mentality when it comes to screening a goalie, and he's not afraid to hang in there, and he's not afraid to get hit with the puck, as you can see him laying down and blocking a shot tonight. Like he's not afraid, so makes a big difference. I thought those were 2 huge things in these 2 goals, Mike's passing and I thought Quentin's screens.
And even strength, you have Chris playing with Brett, and those 2 big guys. What can you talk about why you pair them, and if you think that could be a long-term relationship?
Well, I think it could. I mean, we're certainly going to look at it. They kind of balance each other out. As Brett gets his feet down here, Brett's got an offensive upside to his game, and even though he's kind of like Joe Callahan, they're both a little bit slower in the way they play the game, but they both see ice and they both have a good feel for it and when to make plays. And Chris is just that steady type of guy that plays back, and a little different fit than when Steve McCarthy was with us. It was a little different fit, but I think Brett will bring more offense to that unit than Steve did. No disrespect to Steve. Steve did a nice job with Breener, but Brett has that feel for the game offensively, and obviously is imposing on the blue line if he gets his shots off. So right now we're looking at it, and then we'll see how things go. But right now I thought, in the 2 games set here in less than basically 24 hours, they did a nice job.
Troy, when the NHL signed, how much of a change was it for your schedule as to who you were going to pair with who, and who might be going up and who might be coming down, and the movement from the Flames organization down?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, it's a lot of time behind the scenes. It becomes a numbers game. I mean, as we look at the game, like there's a lot that goes into who plays with who and whose numbers have added up. I mean, it takes you a while to figure out numbers. You kind of think you figure it out, and by numbers, I mean who's goals for and goals against. What's their ratio as a partner? Like we pair every time that a pair gets scored on or gets a goal for, they get a number, and we've got that all charted. Same with our lines. Like we know which lines have produced goals for and which have given up. So we're very conscious of that. It takes a little bit of time to sort out because you always think right away, well, this is a good match. When you talk about forward lines, you usually look for things in pairs. You look for 2 forwards that can play together. You don't look for 3. You look for 2. But on the defensive side of things, with our defensive core, you want a little bit of a balance there. But you want to really understand their ability to communicate. And at this level, who do you put on their off wing or off D side? That's a huge consideration. Like you need fast hand guys and quick hand guys to put them on their backhand side. Otherwise, they've got blind spots, and it's a tough play down there in the off corner. So it becomes really important as to who gets with who, and it takes some time based on the fact that now once Calgary's played their first game today, I'm sure at some point in time we're going to start to lose players, and that's going to fluctuate our numbers.
Yeah, of course, given the success that the Heat have had this year, it's very apparent that the Flames don't want to really dig too deep in your organization, because that could affect the product that you put on the ice.
It certainly will, but if they get to that point where they're going to dig deep down here, and we get that. That's why we have an East Coast League, and we have an affiliate in Utah, and we've got some guys in the system that we think that can help. And again, we've talked about it here. It's a land of opportunity, and hopefully some of our guys get the land of opportunity above us, and that'll allow us to bring some other players up and fill in the slots. But we're confident.
Will you be going to the game Wednesday in Vancouver?
No, we're on the road. We're on the road here Wednesday morning, so we're headed to Charlotte, and we'll get to see them live this time, but hopefully in the future maybe.
Last question, guys? Great, thanks.